Christianity, Democracy, and the American Ideal. A Jacques Maritain reader. Compiled and edited by Jim Kelly. Chapter 7. A Personalist and Pluralist Regime. Freedom of Association. Introduction. According to Maritain, states should adhere to the principle of subsidiarity, the idea that larger and higher organizations should not usurp functions that smaller and lower bodies can perform more efficiently. The state should create an environment that encourages multiple associations to arise for the pursuit of the common good. Eastern Europe imploded over the repressive politics of a collectivist state. Western Europe is reeling from the depressive policies of the welfare state. America is split between those who look to the state to ensure economic parity and social stability immediately, and those who look to free associations to advance the common good over time. Jacques Maritain. Whereas, for centuries, the crucial issues for religious thought were the great theological controversies centered on the dogmas of faith, the crucial issues now will deal with political theology and political philosophy. The state is only that part of the body politic especially concerned with the maintenance of law, the promotion of the common welfare and public order, and the administration of public affairs. The end of political society is not to lead the human person to his spiritual perfection and to his full freedom of autonomy, that is to say, to sanctity, to a state of freedom which is properly divine because it is the very life of God living in man. Nevertheless, political society is essentially destined, by reason of the earthly end that specifies it, to the development of those environmental conditions which will so raise men in general to a level of material, intellectual, and moral life in accord with the good and peace of the whole, that each person will be positively aided in the progressive achievement of his full life as a person and of his spiritual freedom. Of course, there is for everything great and powerful an instinctive tendency and a special temptation to grow beyond its own limits. Power tends to increase power. The power machine tends ceaselessly to extend itself. The supreme legal and administrative machine tends toward bureaucratic self-sufficiency. It would like to consider itself an end, not a means. How to describe this process of perversion? It occurs, that is apparent from all our previous remarks, when the state mistakes itself for a whole, for the whole of the political society, and consequently takes upon itself the exercise of the functions and the performance of the tasks that normally pertain to the body politic and its various organs. Then we have what has been labeled the paternalist state, the state not only supervising from the political point of view of the common good, which is normal, but directly organizing, controlling, or managing, to the extent it judges the interests of public welfare to demand, all forms, economic, commercial, industrial, cultural, or dealing with scientific research, as well as with relief and security of the body politic's life. The fact remains that the state has skill and competence in administrative, legal, and political matters, but it is inevitably dull and awkward, and, as a result, easily oppressive and injudicious in all other fields. To become a boss or a manager in business or industry, or a patron of art, or a leading spirit in the affairs of culture, science, and philosophy, is against the nature of such an impersonal, topmost agency, abstract, so to speak, and separated from the mutual tensions, risks, and dynamism of concrete social existence. As a result, I would say that if our present social structure is to evolve along normal lines, a first step, made necessary by the requirements of public welfare, would consist in having the state start and support large-scale undertakings planned and managed not by the state and not from the center of the country's political administration, but by private enterprises coordinated with one another and by the various communities of the very people concerned, under the leadership of independent, responsible appointees. Thus, the state itself would launch a movement of progressive decentralization and destatization of social life, tending toward the advent of some new personalist and pluralist regime. The final step in such a new regime would take place when prodding by the state would no longer be necessary, and all organic forms of social and economic activity, even the largest and most comprehensive ones, would start from the bottom. By this, I mean from the free initiative of and mutual tension between the particular groups, working communities, cooperative agencies, unions, associations, and federated bodies of producers and consumers, rising in tiers and institutionally recognized. Then a definitely personalist and pluralist pattern of social life would come into effect, in which new societal types of private ownership and enterprise would develop, and the state would leave to the multifarious organs of the social body the autonomous initiative and management of all the activities that by nature pertain to them. As opposed to the various totalitarian conceptions of political society in vogue today, the conception here is of a pluralist body politic, bringing together in its organic unity a diversity of social groupings and structures, each of them embodying positive liberties.